All right, so in this case, we are going to quickly rush through this question paper, which was for our grade 10 mathematics from our KZN province. That is for the September 2023 exam. We managed to work with the 2022 exam. So make sure that you watch that one so that you do understand the basics that you are given. Make sure that you read all the instructions that you are given. Make sure that you answer properly, indicate all calculations that are being given, and also your answers are supposed to be to two decimal places. Then also we are given, there's a part where we are going to need a diagram there to be presented. We shall see that one on the graphical presentation. So make sure you write proper. So if you were to consider the first question, like I said, we shall just quickly rush through because if you consider these questions, they are more of a repetition of what we had in the previous question paper. Number 1.1, we are given a newly married couple bought furniture on hire purchase. So take note, they bought this on hire purchase for 60,000 rand. They paid cash deposit of 20%. The balance will be paid over 5 years. This and that information that you're given. So the question was straightforward on 1.11 to calculate the amount paid as a deposit. The deposit is 20% of this amount. So in this case, you can calculate your deposit, which is simply 20% of 60,000. So it's 20% of the amount that you're given, the higher, the original price that you are given before. That's 20% of that is the deposit which was paid, and that was going to give us 12,000. That is 12,000 rand. So they paid a deposit of 12,000. Then the question is calculate their monthly repayments. So guys, there in this case, we must consider that the monthly repayments are supposed to be taken from the balance, but that balance being repaid now as a loan. All that you're not being asked, like what we had on that previous question where you're given a step from there, you calculate this one, you calculate. There you do not have. You are supposed to know the stages for you to have the monthly repayments. Before we talk of this added to their monthly repayments, the monthly insurance, the first thing is that. Let's talk of the balance. All right, that's 1.12. So this is what you need on a hire purchase. That's going to be like this. When they paid a deposit of 12,000, this one, there is a balance which is going to remain. There is a balance that will remain from the total of 60,000. We subtract the deposit which was paid, which is 12,000. This one is already paid. Remember, it's paid, this one. So the balance is what is not paid, what is yet to be paid. That's the balance. And that balance was going to be 48,000 rand. This is the balance to be paid. So it is going to be paid now as a loan. Remember, whenever you talk of a loan, there is supposed to be an interest accompanying that loan. You do not just say, okay, I'm owing 48,000, so I'm just going to give you 48,000 as it is. No, it will come with an interest for the number of years that are being given. So we want to know how this interest is affected. So the balance that we are given now, this is the statement about the balance. The balance will be paid off over 5 years at an interest rate of 22% per annum. And it ended there. Just per annum, not compounded annually. No, it's not compounded. So this is simple interest. Simple interest. There's no compound. Remember, I talked about this, where you are given the compound interest. There must be a compounding. Compounded this, then you know, okay, this is a compound interest formula to be used, which in this case we do not have that part. But I'm going to talk about that. They did not mention that one. So we just need to understand the concept of what is happening there. Okay, so that's a simple interest. So now we are going to calculate the amount to be paid for these number of years, for the 5 years. What will be the amount to be paid? So for 5 years, the amount to be paid from the simple interest, because this is a simple interest, remember your simple interest formula, that's A is equal to P into 1 plus interest times the number of years. So the amount will be equal to the principal, which is the balance that we had. So P will be equal, or it represents what? The balance. So you're supposed to pay 48,000. So that's your initial amount as a loan to be paid. Then to the interest now, that's 1 plus the interest rate we are given. This is 22%. So remember, you're supposed to divide by 100, which will be 0.22. So that's 0.22 times the number of years, which is 5 years. So this is affecting for how many years? For 5 years. So that's a product. In this case, you multiply, you add 1, then you're going to multiply everything to 48,000. This was going to give us an amount of 100,800 as the amount to be repaid in 5 years. In these 5 years, this is the amount that is supposed to be paid. So now, what is going to happen monthly? Because this is supposed to be paid for 5 years. But they are saying, no, you cannot say, you cannot pay this, the whole of this amount at the end of 5 years. No, you must pay it monthly in these 5 years. Paying this amount. So it is going to be the amount that we are given divided to the number of years that we are given as in months, because it's supposed to be monthly. So 5 years, it's how many months? That's 5 times 12. Remember, in a year, we've got what? 12 months. But these are 5 years. In 1 year, we've got 12 months. So what about in 5 years? We have to multiply to get the number of years. So that's 5 times 12, which was going to give us 60, in that case, representing the number of what? The number of months. So it's simply from 5 times what? From 5 times 12. This is from this amount here that was given. From the given amount, this is what is supposed to be paid monthly. But take note, they are saying there is a monthly insurance fee of 120 Rand. This is added to their monthly repayments. So as they are to repay monthly, there is a 120 Rand of the insurance. So you're supposed to add 120 as the insurance. So that was the case. So that's the monthly from the total that was supposed to be paid plus the insurance now. All right, so from this one, we're going to obtain 1,680 plus 120. So the 1,620 is the monthly amount to be paid. The 120 is the monthly insurance. So it has to be added. So it was going to give us 1,800 that is to be paid per month. Each and every month, they were going to pay 1,800 in order for them to accomplish whatever they were supposed to have bought for 60,000 Rand in that case. It was supposed to be have bought at 60,000 in cash. But now, look what is going to be paid, 108 plus that balance and so forth, and those interest. So at the end, you will see that in conclusion, a higher purchase, you pay more than what you're supposed to have paid in the original sense. 1.2, calculate how many years it will take for an investment earning 7%, 7.5% per annum, simple interest to double in value to double. An investment, that is the principal. So we're just going to let this principal to be equal to x. It must double. So it means the amount after the number of years that we are supposed to calculate, the amount after those number of years is supposed to double the principal. So it's 2 times x, which is what? 2x. It is supposed to double. That is the condition. So the question is, how many years we are supposed to determine n from the simple interest formula, where A is equal to P into 1 plus IN from our simple interest. So the amount is the one that we are given, that it has to double what it was before, what the principal was before, where the principal is x. Okay, remember our P is x into 1 plus the interest. So the interest rate, that's 7.5. Remember, this just divide by 100. That would be 0.075 times n, which is the number of years, which is the one that you need to calculate. So this will be 0.075 n. So you want to calculate n. So how can you calculate n, guys? This x here and this x, remember, this is a product. So you can divide by x, which means x is no longer part of our equation. That's how that x was going to disappear. So it means 2 is now equal to 1 here times 1, which is 1. 1 times, you distribute this inside. So it's 1 times 1, which is 1. 1 times this, that's 0.075 n. So you can solve for n, simply transpose the 1 to the other side of the equation. It becomes a negative. So that's 2 minus 1, which is a 1, which is equal to 0.075 n. You want to determine n, so simply divide by this decimal. You're going to divide by 0.075 both sides, thus determining the value of n, representing the number of years. And that was going to be 13.33 to 2 decimal places, which is the number of years. But if you check this, 13 is the complete number of years. And this represents some months in the next or the following year. So it's an approximation that it is going to be 14 years. You have completed 13 complete years. Then there are other months remaining. Where are these months? They are following in a year. They're in another year. So you just approximate that to 14 years. All right. That is what we were given in that case. It is to double. So it can triple, it can do this, whatever that you're given. You just use that condition. Maybe it can be 5 times of what was there in the original price. You have to multiply by 5 and use the formula that is applicable. On 1.3, we are given, this is 1.3, the price of a 700-gram loaf of bread in 2015 was 11 Rand 50. The price of a loaf in what? 2015. It was 11.50. The current price of a 700 loaf of bread, brown bread in 2013 is 16 Rand. Determine the rate of inflation as a percentage if we assume that the inflation rate remained unchanged for this period. If it remained unchanged, the moment we talk of inflation, this is about compound interest. So you're supposed to think of a decay that, I mean, a compound interest formula in that case. All right, that's a compound interest formula that you're going to apply when dealing with inflation. So it means in 2015, this was the original price. We are going to take it as our principal. Okay. Then after how many years? In 2015, you are considering 2015 as part of that as part of the year. Then the inflation started the next or the following. So we have to consider just the difference between from 2013 minus 2015, just find the difference, which was going to give us 8. So in that case, we're going to use 8. Remember, when you're calculating the number of years, you're supposed to subtract 2013 minus 2015, then you add a 1. But in this case, as for inflation, you're considering this as it is part of, to say in 2013, that is, we had the, in 2015 that we had, it was the original price that we had. So the inflation we assume starting the following period. So that means we are just going to focus with 8 in that case, okay? Then this 16 will be the amount. It will be like your amount. Like from that, remember, I'm talking about the compound interest formula. So this will be representing your A, and the inflation rate now is our interest. Determine the rate of inflation, that is our interest, like that. So meaning to say, we can determine this I from our compound interest formula. So we can use that. So that was going to be, remember that amount is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent of N. And what we need is this I here. And amount is 16. So 16 is equal to P, which is 11,5. So you're going to take this as 11,5 into 1 plus I is the one that you need, and N is going to be 8. So how can we remove this? That's a product. Remember what we had, that division. So it's simply going to divide 11,5, 11,5 both sides. So meaning to say I've got 16 over 11,5 equal to 1 plus I to the exponent of 8. How do I remove an exponent of 8? I simply introduce the 8th root of this. So the 8th root of this part is to remove the exponent of 8. So it will be 1 plus I, which is equal to the 8th root of 16 over 11,5. So this is 11,5. So how can we determine this I in this case? We can simply take this 1 to the other side. It becomes a minus 1. So 1 taken on the other hand, there will become what? Will become a negative. Thus, we are going to determine the value of I in this case. But as we do understand that this I is to represent the rate, which is a percentage. So whatever that you're going to get here, you must multiply it to 100%. Whatever that you're going to have here, multiply it to 100%. It must be a percentage. So it was going to give us something like 4.21% per annum, meaning to say per year, it is changing with what? With 4.21% per year. That was what you're going to have in this case. All right, let us consider another question, which is 1.4. So 1.4, you're given the following exchange rates are given. So remember, guys, your exchange rates, this is direct. You are given the information concerning the euro in this case. So these are the euros to the rand, and also we have got the pounds compared to the rand. A euro is 20,5, a pound is 23.40 rand. Use the given information to answer these questions. How many rand, which is for 100 euros? So for 100 euros, how many rand do we have? If 1 is 20, what about for 100? Guys, we're simply going to multiply. So it's simply going to be 100 times 20,05. And that was going to give us a total of 2,005 rand. What about how many pounds do we have for 2,100? And we are comparing the pounds now and the rand. So it will be this side, 2,300. So how do you determine the number of pounds? So this time you have to divide. So this one was simply going to be 2,300 divided to this 23,40, which is simply 23,4. That was going to give us the pounds in this case, which was going to be 98.29. So I think these guys, these are direct questions. Then how many euros do we have for 250 pounds? So you can change the 250 pounds to the rands because this is easier, just like what we did here. We managed to convert, right? It's not this one. Okay, it was this one for the euros, this one. Remember, you to multiply. So it's the same thing for you to convert these pounds to the rand. So you convert them to the rands first. Each pound is 23.4. So it was going to be 250 times 23.40 rand. And you obtain the total in terms of the rands now. So that was going to be 5,850 rand. But how many euros do we have? If per each euro that we have, it is equivalent 20,5. So we are simply going to divide. So this one, we're simply going to divide by 20.05. That's determining the number of what? The number of euros that are going to be affected. And that was going to be 291.77 euros. So we can simply make a conversion, straightforward conversion in that case. All right, let us consider another question, which is question 2, which is probability, as we do understand that this term you were working also with probability. 2.1, there are 120 grade 10 learners in a school. 55 learners take mathematics, 80, they take geography. 25 learners take neither mathematics nor geography. They do not take any of these. Let the number of learners who take both mathematics and geography be X. Both, let them be X. Represent this information in a Venn diagram. If M are the learners for mathematics and G represents those ones for geography, how is going to be our Venn diagram? Definitely, we are told that there are those learners who take both mathematics and geography. So as we are to represent our Venn diagram, all right, guys, let me just try have it here. As we are to represent this Venn diagram, we're already told the learners who are taking both. So it means on this rectangle, we also have that allowance of those who are taking both. What am I trying to say? We are supposed to have an allowance of those who are taking both like this. There must be an intersection. There must be an intersection like that. Because there are those ones who are taking both. So this is for the intersection, both learners. And we are told, let those learners be X. So if M is for mathematics and G is for geography, we are given that the whole of these, they are 120. That's our sample space. It consists of 120. Everything in this, it's 120. That is one that you're given. They do not worry about that. All right, so let's talk about these ones for mathematics only, because we are given that 55, they take maths. 55 is for this set of maths, this one. So what about maths only, this part? It's going to be 55 minus X. What about geography only? If there are 80 for geography, it is going to be 80 minus X. And 25, they take neither of these. So this one, they do not take. They do not take. They do not take mathematics or geography. They are not part of maths or geography, these ones. That's neither. So where are they? They are outside of these sets. So the 25 is outside. We are going to have it outside of the sets. That's just like that. You're done. That is to present the Venn diagram. And 2.12, it was now to calculate the value of X, which is representing those ones who are taking both. So we can simply form an equation, because we are told that all these learners in grade 10, they are what? 120. So if they are 120, we can form an equation. From everything that we are seeing here, it must add up to 120. From the maths only, 55 minus X, plus those ones who are taking both, plus this one for geography only, plus the 25 who do not take any of the subject. It must give us 120. That's for the people that we have in grade 10. It's possible that some learners, they don't take these subjects. So that is what is happening in that case. So you can simply solve our equation. Let's collect like terms 55 plus 80 plus 25. Simply add your numbers. In that case, that was going to give us 160 minus x plus x. That's a 0 there. You remain with minus x equal to 120. We can collect our terms. 120 to this side. It was 160 to that side. It was going to be a negative. So that's minus x is 120 minus 160, which is minus 40. So you're going to obtain minus 40 divided by negative 1 to obtain the value of x, which was going to be 40. So that was how to determine x, which are those ones that are taking both of the given subjects. So there we have got our x, which was going to be 40. Let's consider the other part of our question. Then now they're saying using your Venn diagram, that Venn diagram that you're having, use it to calculate the probability that a learner chosen at random from this group A takes mathematics only. That is the most important part there. Remember on your diagram, the whole of this set, it is representing maths. What about maths only? Those ones who are doing maths only. Remember, that is the part of the 55 minus x. So we have our x as 40. So the first thing is to determine that. So 55 minus 40 was going to give us what? That was going to give us a 15. So it means here we've got 15. Remember, this x is 40. So we subtract the difference here. That's for maths only maths. So 2.13, A, the probability for maths only. In this case was going to be the section represented by 55 minus x, which is 15. There are 15 of them out of the total, which is 120. You can have this as a percentage. You can have it as a decimal, but let's check the instruction. Let's check the instruction. There's an instruction here. If you check down here, they're saying, round your answers off to 3 decimal places. Round your answers off to 3 decimal places. So there you were being forced to write it as decimals. So to 3 decimal place, it was going to be 0.125. That's to 3 decimal place. We are now given an instruction. You follow that instruction that you are given there. B, the probability that there's ones this group does not take geography. So the group does not take geography. It means that's geography part of this complement of geography, not in it. They do not take geography. So it's not in G, not in G. This is your G, this one. When you talk about G, you surround it. G is like this. This is set G. We are not talking about G only. We are talking about the whole of G. This one. This is set G. This one. But we are saying not in G. That is what this complement means. Not in G. So what is not in G? It is the 15 and the 25. This is the part that is not in G. This one. Outside of G. That's outside of the set G. This one. You cover the set G like this. You look what is outside of it. That is G complement. That is what is not in G. So there is 15 and there is 25. So the sum of these two, 15 and 25, that's the 15 and 25 together, was going to give us 40. So there are 40 learners who do not do geography. They do not do geography. They're outside of G. Those ones who take maths only and those ones who do not even take one of these subjects together. So that was going to be a 40. So meaning to say we've got 40 over the total of 120. So as a decimal, it was going to be 0.3333 and so on. So to 3 decimal place, that's 0.333 like that. So that is how you simply answer these questions. Understand the mathematical language that you're given. Text, mathematics, or geography. There is an or there. Union So it's maths union geography, the union of the two. The union of the two, that is what we are being asked. The probability of maths and geography is the union of these two combined together like this. Sorry, maths or there is or there. Where am I taking the way, guys? See where I'm going there. We need the or there. Union of this. That's maths or geography. The union combined together. You have to cover up everything. That's the union of these two. Everything that we have. So meaning to say, we have the 15 here in maths only. Remember that? There is a 15. We have this one, x, at the intersection. We are covering everything. We also have that, which is the 40. Remember, x is what? It's 40. So you have to take the 40. We have this part of G of this G only, this one for geography only, represented by 80 minus x. And what is 80 minus x? It's 80 minus 40. Our x is 40. Remember, that was going to give us 40. So these ones for geography only represented by 80 minus x, they are 40. These ones for mathematics only represented by 55 minus x, they are 15. 55 minus 40 is 15. So we're adding 15 plus 40 plus 40. Those are the ones that we are doing, the combined part. Or M or this, you take all together. So this was going to give us 95 out of the total of 120 and everything. So as a decimal to 3 decimal place, it was going to be 0.792. Remember, you're given instruction to 3 decimal places on this question that we are answering now. All right, D, text, mathematics, and geography. This is the intersection where we find both simultaneously taking place. They are taking place simultaneously at the same time. That's M and G. That's the intersection of M and G, which is X. Those ones for both. This is both M and G, which is our X. And our X is what? 40. So those ones, they are 40 out of 120. 40 out of 120 is going to give us 0.3333, just like what we had this one on 40 over 120. All right, so these are the probabilities that we are supposed to have obtained from this diagram that we are seeing here. All you just need is to make sure you understand each and every probability given. All right, another question, which is 2.3. This has nothing to do with the previous question. It's on this one. So they are giving us question 2.2. That is the probability that a randomly chosen grade 10 learner will take music is 8. So these are probabilities, these ones. To take music, it's 0.8, like we are given. This is music, that's 0.8. Dance, which is 0.7. So like the whole of this, that is what it means there. The whole of this is 0.8. Then both music and dance, it's 0.6. These are probabilities. We are given that this is 0.6, both. So we're given the 0.6 there. And this is R, this is Q, and this is T. So the Venn diagram was given with some missing information. And from this missing information, they're asking you on 2.21 to write down the value of S. Where can we obtain S? S in this case is representing our sample space. And we do understand that the probability of whatever that is in the sample space is of everything. It must add up to 1. That is the probability of everything is equal to 1. So that is what they are simply asking you there. Okay, determine the values of P and R showing all calculations. How can you calculate Q and how can you calculate R? Guys, the whole of M this one. The probability of here is 0.8. Meaning to say, if I take these two together, Q plus the 0.6, I'm supposed to obtain the 0.8 as the total. So what is Q? Simply take this to the other side. I mean the 0.6 to the other side. So Q was simply going to be the difference there, which is 0.2. So that's our Q. The whole of this set represents 0.8. The whole of this set, it represents probability of 0.8. So you remove this one. It's just like what we had, guys, when we're given the whole numbers. This is X and this is 55. You're writing 55 minus X. Same even with the probability. So it means even for R in this case, 0.7 minus 0.6. So you can also calculate R in the same sense. So R is equal to the probability of what is in D, the whole of what is in D, minus this 0.6, which is in between D and M. So that was going to give us 0.1. So meaning to say, we have got the Q, which is 0.2. We have got the R in this case, which is 0.1. So that was what we are supposed to have done in that case. And from this question, determine the value of T. So now you can determine what is in T. Remember, everything adds up to the sample space, which is 1. Remember, I said S is 1. So if we add everything in that, we are supposed to obtain this one, T that we are to determine. So if we add everything, the Q, which is 0.2 plus the X there in, I mean, this one on the intersection, which is our 0.6 plus the R that we calculated, which is 0.1 plus this T, it must give us the whole of the sample space, which is 1. We have formed an equation. So it simply means T was just supposed to be taken as 1 minus these. That was supposed to just subtract like that. 1 minus what? Whatever that is inside of the diagram, you subtract everything, 0.2, 0.6, and 0.1. That was going to give us our T, which was going to be 0.1. So in this case, the T that is outside was going to be 0.1. So that if you add everything inside, 0.2, 0.6, 0.1, 0.1, you must get a straight 1. This is to show that truly the probabilities there are done properly because they are supposed to add up to 1. Determine the probability that a learner chosen at random from this group will not take dense. Meaning, say this is dense complement, the complement of dense. It's not part of the set D. That is what it means there. Okay, so that's 2.24. The probability of obtaining D complement, as I explained before, it's not in D, meaning to say you cover this D. This is your D. You cover it like this. What is not in D? What is it that is not in D? It is this 0.2 and this is 0.1. So you're simply going to add those two, 0.2 plus 0.1, which is what? 0.3, not in D. Or you can simply use this condition, a set and its complement should add up to 1. I talked about this. A set and its complement must add up to 1. So whatever that is not in D, it is supposed to be 1 minus the probability of what is found in D. What is not in D, remember this one is not in D, the complement. So it's supposed to be 1 minus what is in D, which is the 0.7 in D as it is given here in the dense. That's 0.7. So 1 minus 0.7 was going to give us 0.3. That's how you could have answered this question, guys. So many ways that we could have answered this. Then 2.25, you're now given to determine the probability that if a learner is chosen at random, we will take exactly 1 form of arts, exactly one form of arts. When it is like this, it means there is an exactly there. It means you are only having one at a time. It cannot be both. It cannot be both. So we are considering those who can take music only and those who can take dance only. That is the only way. It cannot be both. We cannot have someone having this and then we are saying it is having exactly one. This they are saying exactly, not at least. Take note, they are not saying at least they know. This one, it's not an at least question. It's exactly where are we having one sort of art that is to be taken. So it can only be those who are taking music and only for dance. So we're going to add the 0,2 and the 0,1. So meaning to say for exactly one, it was going to be, that's exactly one. So I'm just going to write probability exactly one. That's the 0,2 and the 0,1, which was going to be 0,3. So you simply have to add those two. 0,2 plus 0,1, which is 0,3. Not at least. This is not an at least question. This is exactly where we have only one type of art. All right. So that was our probability. Let's check another part. Considering question number 3 on statistics, we are given the data at a certain school for a mathematics test out of 50. So the test was out of 50. Are given in the form of a box and whisker diagram as shown. So we're given a box and whisker diagram. Additional information about the data is given below. Remember, this is a box and whisker where we have got the minimum value, the lower quartile Q1, our Q2 being the median, our Q3 being the upper quartile, and the maximum value. So from this additional information, we've got some of the information given, the minimum value, which is 1, the upper quartile, remember, that's 29, the median, which is 20, because we're given this, the range, remember the range is different between maximum and minimum, and also the interquartile range. And from this, the question was 3.11, write down the values of A, C, and D. All right, what is A representing on our diagram? The minimum value. Remember that. So A is the minimum value, and we have that minimum value. So A is 1. What is C representing from your diagram here? Is the middle part of the where you're having the box here? That's our Q2. The median. So we have that median, which is 20. What is D representing on this part of the box? That's our upper quartile. And we are given that the upper quartile is 29. So we are given D, which is 29. Okay? Then from there, determine the value of E. Okay? How can we determine the value of E? From this diagram again, E represents the maximum value, but we are not given here. But there is something that consists of the maximum value, which is the range. How does the range consist of the maximum value? Remember that range is the difference between maximum minus minimum value. So if it is the difference, we can simply substitute because we are given the range is 38. We do not have the maximum value, but we are given the minimum value as what? As 1. So what will be our maximum value, which is representing what? E. So you simply have to take this to the other side. 38 plus 1 is equal to E. So E was going to be 39, representing the maximum value. So that's our E, which is 39. Just like that. From the range that we are given, 3.13, determine the value of B. What is B representing first? The lower quartile. Is there a statement which can consist of the lower quartile? Yes. We have that from the interquartile range. So we can calculate that B, because B represents Q1, the lower quartile range. I mean the lower quartile. So from the interquartile range, we can calculate that. Okay, so that's 3.13. So in this case, going to have 3.13. So from the interquartile range, remember interquartile range is the difference between upper quartile and the lower quartile, Q3 minus Q1. We are given the interquartile range as 18. We are given Q3, the upper quartile, as 29. And Q1, we are not given. We are just given this Q1 as what? As B. So we can calculate the value of B in that case from this equation of the interquartile range. So that's it. B to this side is going to be positive, which is equal to 29, 18. This side is going to be a negative. So B is simply 29 minus 18, which was going to be 11. So it means at B, we've got 11 there, which is our Q1. 3.14, learners said the test was difficult. Do you agree with this statement? Use the information above to justify your answer. Was this test difficult? Okay, we can check. From the information, this test was out of 50. Remember, the test was out of 50. Okay. Sorry for that. All right, sorry for that. Let's see. So our test was out of 50. So we can judge with the marks that we are having here out of 50. Okay, let's try to see 3.14. So out of 50, this is what we can see. Let's talk of the median, because median is like half of what we are having. The median is 20. The median is 20 out of 50. The median is 20 out of 50, guys. Out of 50, at least median, we're supposed to be at least 25 going up. 20, because that's the median. But look where the median is, at 20. This is difficult. Okay, we might say maybe these are some learners who do not understand in this class. Maybe we can give a benefit of doubt from the median. Let's go to the maximum value. The maximum value obtained is 39 out of 50. Meaning to say 39 out of, guys, we are saying if you are to write 39 out of 50 as a percentage, if you were to express it as a percentage, that is something like 78%. Out of 100%, you are at 78. The highest is a 78%. This is to show that the test was actually difficult. We do not have anything around the 90%. This alone, the median and the maximum values, they are low according to what we're supposed to have. Thus, difficult. So this is difficult, guys. These values, they are supposed to be at least above. The median is supposed to be at least above 25%, 25% going up, 25% there. Not, I mean, 25 out of 50, not 20 out of 50. Okay. And also the higher mark obtained, guys. You can see that the higher mark there is also less. 3.2, a mathematics teacher records the time taken by learners of year's grade 10 class to complete a class test. So this is the information. Determine the model class of the given data. So the model class is the one that has got the highest frequency. You're given a frequency there. The one with the highest frequency is corresponding to 60 to 70. So it's 60 to 70 in that case. 3.22, it was to complete the midpoints column of the data on the answer sheet provided. So on the answer sheet provided, it was just like this, guys. It was just a repetition. The midpoints, like here. The midpoints, how do you calculate the midpoints? In order for you to have a midpoint, you must have the lower part of the class and the upper class of the part added. So you can just use lower class plus the upper class, which is like the lower interval to the upper interval, divide by 2. You add what is on the lower to the upper, you divide, like 10 plus 20 over everything over 2. 20 plus that, everything off. So you're going to do that, guys. So this was going to be 15. That's how you calculate your midpoints. You do the same thing from 20 to 30. You just have to add 20 plus 30. What is in between 20 and 30? 50 divided by 2, which is 25. You do the same thing. 30 to 40, which was going to be 35. From 40 to 50, it was going to be 45. 50 to 60 was going to be 55. And this was going to be 65. You just have to add whatever that you have here, divide by 2. Minimum, maximum, divide by 2. Lower, upper, divide by 2. That is the condition of how to calculate the midpoints. Then from there, you are now given to draw the frequency polygon of the given data on the system of axes provided. Remember, a frequency polygon is taken to work hand in hand with a histogram. So you're going to simply use these classes as they were versus their midpoints in terms of the frequencies that you are having. So there we have got your time in minutes, which is representing like the classes that you are having. But now, if you are to consider, in this case, we must consider from this time what we obtain, the midpoints versus the frequency, meaning to say we are going to need the midpoints on those classes that you are given there. You will use the midpoints here in this time in minutes. You work them as midpoints. So you're going to start as they are, midpoint of 15 versus a 2. You mark a point like that. So it was supposed to be like this, 15 versus a 2. But where can you have a 2? Like, where exactly is just going to be an assumption to say maybe 2 is somewhere there. You just mark a point because you can't measure to say what you assume, but it's supposed to be a 2 there. You do the same thing on the other one, 25 versus what? A 5. You do that up to the last stage, 25 versus a 5. This one, it's direct. You can see a 5 there. The next one, it was 35 versus a 7. So 35 versus a 7, you just approximate 35 versus 7. It was 45 versus 8. You just approximate maybe somewhere there. 55, it was versus 18. So if you just approximate 18, 55 going up. So 18, you can just approximate somewhere there. Then it was 65 versus 20, which is here. But the question is supposed to be a polygon, which is a closed figure. So how are we going to make this to be a closed figure? Using same intervals that we are seeing, we can see the difference that we are seeing in terms of the midpoints, just like the classes. We know if this was 10 to 20, the previous class was supposed to be from 0 to 10. Meaning to say it was going to have a class center of 5. You just add 0 plus 10 divided by 2. That is the condition. Or you simply work with these midpoints. What is the difference between the midpoint? There's a difference of 10, a difference of 10. So since this graph is starting on top like this, you can see that it's starting on top. And it's supposed to be a closed figure, a polygon. It must start from the ground. So you use the difference going back. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and so on. So you must use that difference going back now. So it's 15 minus 10, which will give us a 5. But that one we will not have a frequency. It will be at 0. So you can use from the midpoint. So there is a 5 that you must also indicate versus what? As 0, so that it becomes a closed figure. You do the same thing to the maximum. As you continue with this same interval, 60 to 70, it means there's another class there from 70 to 80, which is not there, which has got its own class center. How do you find that class center? You can simply use this side, or you simply use this side. We are increasing, remember, by 10. So as we are increasing, going this side, we must add. So it's going to be 65 plus 10, the difference that we are seeing. So it must be at 75. But what will be the frequency there? The frequency will be at 0. That will be the case. So it will be 75 versus a frequency of 0. So it will be 75 versus a 0, like that. So that's it. It will give you a closed figure by joining. So you're going to use the ruler, guys. But as for me, I'm just going to use freehand. But you must use a ruler. You join these points from 0 to this point using a ruler. You join to this point using a ruler, to this point, to this point, to this point, to this point, and back to this point. It must be a closed figure at the end. That's what you're going to have. So I want you to have something accurate there. Make sure that you use a ruler to join these points. You must use a ruler. Then the question was, calculate the estimate of the mean of the given data. Show all calculations. An estimate of the mean. Remember, you can calculate the mean from the midpoints that we had. We already calculated our midpoints in that case here. You were supposed to, we had a similar question in from the 2022. It was supposed to be 2022 question, if you still remember, where they gave us another part here multiplying the frequency and the midpoints. The frequency and the midpoints, you find the total. So if you're going to do that, you're going to do it. You multiply here, frequency times, you get your answer, 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 then you add frequency to the midpoint. 2 times 15, 5 times, you multiply them like that. You add. And you also add these ones. That is the sum of this divided to the sum of the frequency will give us the mean. So if you understand that, it's fine from the table, or you can just do it by a normal calculation that we are used to, since the mean is obtained from the sum that we have of frequency times the midpoint. So where this is the midpoints that we are given over the sum of the frequency. The sum, this one, it's sum of. Meaning to say you add frequency times midpoint, frequency times throughout. So let's start 2 versus 30. So it's 2 times 15, sorry. So it's 2 and 15 plus 5 versus 25. You multiply those two. 5 times 25 and so on and so on. So this one is 7 versus 35. You move on. 8 versus 45. This is 8 and 45. You move on. 18 and 55. That's 18 and 55. You move on. 20 and 65. You multiply frequency to the midpoint. Frequency to the midpoint up to the last one. So it was 20 and what? 65. So that's 20 times 65 in that case. Everything must be divided to the total frequency now. So you must use the whole of this part that you had, the total frequency, guys. Remember, this is frequency. You are adding these frequencies. You add 2 plus 2, everything, you add them. So that was going to give us a 60. If you add this part here, it was going to be a 60. So if you multiply this and add, guys, on top, if you add these ones, multiply 2 times 15, you add to this, you add, it was going to give you 3050 over 60. And that was going to be 50,83 Remember, this is representing time in minutes. So meaning to say this is the median time also. You also talk of the median time, the mean or the average time in minutes. So the question was simply calculate the mean. But what is this mean representing? The time. So it's the mean time of the given information. So that was your question. In that case, if you were to consider your probability, 22 marks on this probability, which was actually fine. You just have to know your diagrams, each and every part that you are to draw. On question number 4, in the diagram below, CMB, that is from CM to B, this, and this one, these are right angle triangles. And we are given angle B being 90 degrees here, which is a right angle. BCM 21 degrees, which is this angle here. BC, which is 12 units. M is the midpoint of AB, meaning to say M divides these two from A to M. It is equal from M to B, okay? That is M to B. These two will be equal, A to M, M to B. These two, they are equal. So the question was to calculate with reasons, okay? The first one, 4.21, the size of AMC, angle AMC, this one. AMC, this angle that we are seeing here. Okay, remember from our geometry, from our grade 8, guys, we had these properties of a triangle. If a triangle is being drawn, this exterior angle is equal to the sum of the opposite interior. A and B must give us C. So C is equal to A plus B. So meaning to say we're going to use that exterior angle of a triangle in that case. The exterior angle of a triangle, that's 4.11. So meaning to say AMC is simply going to be the sum. This is the interior angle, but those ones opposite is 21 and this 90. So the sum of these two, 90 plus 21 degrees. And that was going to give us 111 degrees. Or you can simply calculate this one. Angles in a triangle, they add up to 180 degrees. You subtract everything from 180. You obtain angle M, which will be 69 degrees. Then angles on a straight line, you use that, you calculate that angle. There are so many ways, guys. It's not like you're only limited to one theorem. So that was for the exterior angle of a triangle. 4.12, the length of MB. If you consider M to be this part here, we are forming a right-angled triangle. That's a right-angled triangle that we have there. So that's a right-angled triangle. You can use the 69 degrees or you can use the 21 degrees because you know the properties of a triangle, it'll be up to you. So in this case, I'm going to focus with the 21 that we are already given here. According to 21 degrees, MB is the opposite and BC is our adjacent. Which ratio uses opposite and adjacent at the same time? From our SOHCAHTOA concept. Opposite, adjacent, tan. So it follows that from this concept, the tan of the angle 21 degrees is equal to the opposite, which is MB, over the adjacent, which is 12. So you can calculate MB from there simply. Cross multiply 1 times MB, that's MB is equal to 12 tan 21 degrees. You can use the ratio of a tan that was going to give us MB, which is 4.61 to 2 decimal places. Okay, that's MB. So from M to B, we've got 4.61. And the other part, it was calculate the length of AB, and that is just 2 marks. Why is that so? Because we are told before, remember this one, AB. We are told that M is the midpoint. So from M to B, it is equal as from A to M, meaning to say we also have the 4.61. So you simply add 4.61 plus 4.61. That's to determine what? That's to determine the length of AB, or simply you are going to multiply by 2. That's the length of AB is simply 2 times this MB. AB is twice of MB or twice of AM. So you simply have to multiply this answer by 2 or just add those ones by 2 since M is the midpoint. So that was going to give us 9.22 units. We've got the length of AB in that case, the whole of this line AB. We just determine this, which is 9.22 units. Then from there, we need to calculate the size of angle ACM. And also the number of marks there, they are telling us we have to consider a lot of things there. ACM, from A to C to M, this one, ACM. If you consider this is the angle here, in between here, this one. How can we determine this angle here that is remaining as part of our triangle there? If we are to consider, there are so many ways, guys, to answer these questions. You play around the way that you understand. But considering here, you can see that we can use the whole of this AB that we calculated and the BC to find the whole of this angle C. All right. So think about that. Calculate the whole of that angle C. All right, so this is 4.14. Let us just do this. The whole of angle C, which is ACB, can be calculated before we think of the ACM that we are being asked here. Let's find the whole of this angle, because according to this right angle triangle, AB is the opposite. This AB, this one, according to angle C. AB represents the opposite and BC as the adjacent. So it follows we still have the ratio of a tan, but this time is the tan of the angle now, ACB, that we want to calculate, which is opposite over adjacent, which is the opposite there, 9.22 over the adjacent, which is 12. So to calculate the angle, as long I want to calculate this one here, it represents the angle, this one. As long I want to determine this angle of ACB, I have to remove this tan and write it that other side as arctan. If it was sine, arcsine. If it is cos, arccos. So it's arctan of 9.22 over 12. That's giving us the angle ACB, giving us the whole of the angle ACB, which was going to be 37.54 degrees. This being our angle ACB, this one. This is our AC here, guys, here. From A to C to be the whole of this angle here. So if the whole of this angle is 37.54, what about this one remaining here in between here, which is our ACM, the one that we are being asked, what is going to be ACM? So ACM is simply the difference, this angle, this one that I'm indicating here, is the difference of the whole angle of 37.54 minus this 21. So it's going to be 37.54, the whole of it, minus this 21. So you subtract the 21 degrees there. So by subtracting 21 degrees, you're going to obtain the angle ACM, which was going to be 16.54 degrees to 2 decimal places. So that's for 4 marks. Yeah, it actually deserves these 4 marks, guys. It was actually a lot that you have to consider there. And 4.15, the length of AC. So the length of AC, you can use those trigonometrical ratios, whatever that you want. You can also use the Pythagoras theorem. So I'm just going to use one, then you try and use whatever that you want in that case to determine the length of this AC. You can use, since you now have the whole of this angle here, you can use your trigonometrical ratios with any one of this side. Is this one or is this one? or you can simply use Pythagoras theorem. Since the whole of this triangle is a right-angled triangle, we do understand that we can apply our Pythagoras theorem. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared, where C is the hypotenuse. So it follows that AC, which is the hypotenuse, squared is equal to sum of the shorter sides. There we have got AB and BC. So it's going to be AB squared plus BC squared. So that's AC squared is equal to AB, which we are given. That's 9,22 squared plus BC, which we are also given as 12 squared. So it's either you're going to use your calculator direct to find this, or just remove the square there. By introducing the square root, you remove the square that we are given. So to remove the square, introduce the square root. The square root both sides, thus we have removed the square root. So that's AC is equal to the square root of. By introducing this square root, we have removed this square of 2. You're going to have the square root of this now. On your calculator, that will be the square root of 9,22 squared plus 12 squared, which is going to be 15,13 units. So using this, we're going to obtain our AC. So like I said, you can use even the trigonometrical ratios. I want you to try and use any ratio and see if you're going to win. Let's just try to have as much questions, and also do revise the November. I mean the one for 2022. If we had the one for September 2022 also. So just go through that one also, so that you do understand how do they ask these typical questions. It's gonna be for what you have covered in this term, like I introduced from the topics to be covered in this term. So make sure you go through each and every part of your topics, understand the basics of your topics. Then you can go through your question papers as you want.